Hello, sorry. Hello, my fellow YouTube followers. This is Bubba Josh from Bubba Josh Productions. Yeah,
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome on the City Gamma. Just a quick safety announcement for those passengers that have just joined us here at the tower. This vessel is registered with the Maritime Coast Guard Agency and the Port of London Authority. And in the unlikely event of an emergency, please remain seated and await instruction by a member of the crew. The safety announcements aren't meant to disturb you at all or worry you in any way. We have to give these out by maritime law. But if you're a bit worried about the safety announcement, the bar is open for the entire journey.
Well, and I'm on vacation doing England, Ireland, Scotland. And right now, I'm in England. I'm on the Thames.
Now we've got two options here this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, before we turn around and head out upriver for Westminster. The first option is that in the wheelhouse there's a computer. You press the button on the computer and it does like a computerised commentary. It's a bit robotic, it's a bit boring. By the time we get to Westminster, half you'll be asleep. Or the second option is, I can sort of part some of my local knowledge over onto you. I've been on the river for over 40 years, so I can give you some of that information, some local knowledge, and hopefully make the journey a bit more fun and a bit more enjoyable, make you laugh along the way a little bit. So what's it going to be, the computer or me?
Yeah,
of course it is. Now, if you enjoy the commentary, my name is Paul, and if you don't enjoy the commentary, my name is Daniel. Alright, so there we are. Okay, we're going to turn around now, and we're going to head upriver, and we'll be travelling with the incoming tide. As we start to turn the boat round, which will come into view, sweeping view on our right hand side is Tower Bridge. Tower Bridge isn't as old as it looks. It is a steel suspension bridge. It's made of metal, this bridge. The stonework that you see is to blend in with the tower. It was opened in 1894. The centre part of the bridge opens to let ships to pass through into this section of the Thames. The next section to the lower span, they're known as bascularies. And there's your picture. Look, you get your cameras out, your phones, your videos. London buses going across the centre span there, specially laid on for you. That's about £5 in a tourist shop, that postcard you've just got there. We just give it to you. And also, if you was in video mode, as the buses were going across the bridge, you get a Cockney accent in the background as well. So, but as I say, that lower span of the bridge, that opens to let ships to pass through. The next section to the lower span are known as bascularies. They have right of way over road traffic. The ships that go through the bridge must be given right of way, even if it's an ambulance or a fire truck. Ships must be given right of way. But there is one day in the year when that bridge doesn't open, and they're not allowed to open, and one day only in the year. Do you know what day that would be? Go on. Yes, the marathon. That is the day the bridge cannot open. 51,000 people run across the bridge. They get a bit halfway through, about halfway on the marathon course, and in they go. Anyway, as we turn round here, on the right hand side is the Tower of London, which I should imagine you've already visited. But on the river wall there in front of the tower is the entry to the Traitors' Gate. The reason the entrance has been bricked up is to stop the River Thames from flooding the moat around the outside of the tower. Many years ago when it was open, Traitors that were found guilty of treason at the Palace of Westminster, they would be brought down here in a barge and they would be taken through that archway onto Tower Hill the next day, where they would have their heads chopped off. Their heads were stuck on spikes and placed on the old London Bridge to deter would-be traitors. Many famous people have passed through that archway on their way to their execution, including Anne Boleyn, Lady Jane Grey, Sir Thomas More, Sir Walter Raleigh and Guy Fawkes. Ahead of us on the left hand side, the warship there is the HMS Belfast. It was launched in Belfast in 1938. It saw action in the Second World War, where it fired its guns on the beaches of Normandy on D-Day. Last fired its guns in the Korean War in 1951. Permanently moored here is a floating museum, open to the public every day. It's part of the Imperial War Museum group. It's now in Boston there for a few hours. Right hand side here is behind the trees with the small clock in the centre. This is Watergate House. This is the headquarters for His Majesty's Customs and Excise. Now if you're caught trying to smuggle drugs into the country, or if you're caught trying to smuggle too much alcohol into the country, and it's seized, it's taken from you, captured and it's seized and taken from you, it's in this building here on the right hand side where it's all stored. They incinerate the drugs and alcohol once a year. You see the black chimneys on the top of the building there, the little 6 little black chimneys. Well, we've never seen any smoke come out of there. And they say that the staff Christmas parties are a bit special in there as well. You see this building here on the right with it's larger as it goes on, with the green glass dome at the top. That's the Sky Garden, that's 20 Fenchurch Street. I'll come back to that building in a few moments. It's going to disappear behind this blue building here. I'll come back to that in a moment. On the left hand side is the Shard of Glass, the tallest building in Western Europe. The building comprises of offices, apartments and the Shangri-La Hotel. Just recently, will.i.am from the Black Eyed Peas bought the penthouse apartment in the Shard for £38 million. Now at the top of the Shard is an observation deck, and it cost about £30 per person to go up there to the observation deck. But the Sky Garden is free. That's why it's pointed that out. You just go online, skygarden.com, go there for nothing. This is London Bridge, opened in 1973. This bridge was the 4th London Bridge to stand here. The London Bridge that stood here before this one now spans Lake Havasu in Arizona in the United States. Bought for £1 million, taken down stone by stone and shipped to the Arizona desert where it's re-erected as a tourist attraction. On the left hand side, in the gap in the buildings there, is the Southwark Cathedral, opened in 1275, and in the cathedral is a Harvard chapel. It's named after John Harvard, who was baptised in that cathedral. John Harvard emigrated to America and founded the Harvard University in Massachusetts. That's where he was baptised, in the Southwark Cathedral. Also there on the left hand side, you see the grey painted warehouse, Winchester Wolves. Behind that building is a small prison. It's an old debtor's prison. If you were in debt, you were thrown into that prison. It's in Clink Street, and the prison is called the Clink. And it's where the old saying of being thrown in the clink comes from that Clink prison. That's just behind that building there on the left. This is the Cannon Street railway bridge. Cannon Street is up on the end. side. Actually very popular in the summer months and the gardens there of that pub. Well, we use that pub, the crews from these boats, we go in there, we use that every evening. After work we'll go in there and we'll research these commentaries that we give you. We can sit in there for hours researching these commentaries, sometimes until closing time, just to make sure that we get it right. We'll sit in there, all for the research, nothing else. This is Southern Bridge, opened in 1922. If you look ahead of us as we pass through the bridge, the circular white building with a thatched roof is an exact replica of William Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. It is an exact copy of the original Globe Theatre. It's made of wood, it's open air, there's no electricity in the building, there's no stage amplification or lighting. All the plays that are performed in the Globe Theatre are performed how they would have been over 400 years ago, the time of William Shakespeare. Well, they are performed exactly the same except for one thing. Women's parts are now played by women, and when you see a play there, in Shakespearean times, women's parts were played by men because it was immoral for women to work in the theatrical industry. It's also from that building that the word box office comes from. A small wooden box would be passed around the audience to collect the admission fee. That small wooden box would be locked in a room before a play, and that small room became known as the box office. This is the Millennium Footbridge. In the gap on the right hand side of the foot of the bridge there is St Paul's Cathedral. Stands 365 feet at the top of the cross from ground level. As the second largest unsupported cathedral dome in Europe, largest to St Peter's in Rome. Took 35 years to build, was opened in 1742. It was designed by Sir Christopher Wren. Sir Christopher Wren designed over 80 churches, monuments and buildings throughout the London area. On the left-hand side here, this building with the tall chimney, this is the old Bankside power station. It's no longer used to generate electricity. The building has been converted to the Tate Modern Art Gallery. It's completely free to enter that Tate Modern Art Gallery over there. But then if you were to go in and actually have a look at some of this modern art, you'd understand why it's free to get in. This is the Blackfriars group of bridges. The first is the Blackfriars Railway Bridge. Blackfriars Station is actually on top of us there. That's the actual station itself on top of the bridge. The red painted columns that you see are all that remain from the St Paul's Railway Bridge, designed by Brunel, a famous Victorian engineer. It became unsafe and had to be taken down. And the last bridge in this group is the Blackfriars Road Bridge, which was opened by Queen Victoria in 1869. Now, as you pass under the Blackfriars Bridge, on the right hand side, the building on the corner is Unilever House, the London offices for Lever Brothers, big soap and detergent manufacturers, that's all that is. The next building there on the right with the sloping roof is the old City of London School for Boys. And many of this country's leading statesmen were educated in that building, including Lord Asquith and Sir Winston Churchill, who both became Prime Ministers. And of course myself, I was educated in there. Leading statesman of this country. Well, actually, if you recognise my accent, you know I wasn't educated in there. This construction site here on the right hand side is part of the Tideway Tunnel, which is a massive sewer upgrade in London, costing £4 billion, and it travels through London for hundreds of miles. The only physical evidence that there is an actual construction site is on the Thames. This is one of the materials Navy from the Second World War. Thirdly, it's a floating club for retired sea captains. Also here on the right hand side, see this old black and white ship here, the St. Catherine? Sorry for itself nowadays, although it is fixed up a little bit, but anyway, that was the royal barge. Whenever any member of the royal family would travel on the Thames, that's the vessel they used. No longer used as the royal barge, as you can see. There's a new barge called the Golden. Actually, that boat there, it does go out occasionally, once in a while, when Harry comes over. That's the spare one. That building there on the right hand side with the small green dome in the centre, that is Somerset House, originally built as a palace for the Duke of Somerset. It's now the King's College, London. In the vast grounds of that building, in the summer months, they convert it to an open air cinema, which is open to the public in the Somerset House. This is Waterloo Bridge, opened in 1945. This bridge built during the Second World War, and 2/3 of the labour used in the construction of this bridge was female, because most of the male population were at war. The bridge is the only bridge on the Thames that was built on time and under budget. The building on the right hand side with the dark roof and the single flagstaff in the middle, that is the Savoy Hotel. The main entrance of the Savoy Hotel is in the Strand, and it's the main entrance into the Savoy Hotel is the only road in London where you drive on the right hand side. And it's because of that entrance road into the Savoy Hotel that the London taxis have such a tight turning circle to turn round in that, designed to turn round in the driveway of the Savoy Hotel. It's Cleopatra's Needle here on the right hand side, given to this country as a goodwill gift following Nelson's victory over Napoleon at the Battle of the River Nile. The needle's over 3,000 years old, and one of a pair, twin, stands in Central Park, New York. The left hand side is the Royal Festival Hall, one of the finest concert halls in the world for its acoustics. And many famous people have performed in the Royal Festival Hall, including Pavarotti, Frank Sinatra, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, David Bowie, the Smiths, Amy Winehouse, this goes on and on. This is Charing Cross Railway Bridge, and under the bridge on the right hand side there, the building with the black spires is Whitehall Court Mansions, a group of luxury apartments. It houses some of London's famous gentlemen's drinking clubs and also the Horse Guards Hotel. Further along again, on the right hand side, another construction site for the Tideway Tunnel, and a floating pub there, the Thames Castle. It was a steam paddle steamer, and what now a floating pub, as I say, was a car ferry from the River Humber in Yorkshire. Burnley Morley, quite a popular place to visit a sunny afternoon. On the left hand side is the London Eye, opened in the year 2000. When it was opened, it was called the Millennium Wheel, and it was the tallest Ferris wheel in the world when it was opened. Not anymore, it's only number 4 now in the pecking order. There are 2 in America and 2 in Asia that are bigger than this one. There are 32 pods, there are 32 London boroughs. Each pod is named after a London borough. Further along on the left, the building with the sloping roof and the green spire. This is the old County Hall. This was London's major town hall or city hall. No longer used as a town hall. Now Shrek's Adventure. There's an aquarium in there. And it's also been made into apartments and luxury flats. This is Westminster Pier here on our right hand side. This is our destination. But just before we call into Westminster Pier, I'm just going to tell you about a few more places and items of interest. Now as we turn him round, it will come into view, which will be on our left hand side as we swing the boat round, is of course the Houses of Parliament. And at this end of the Houses of Parliament is the famous clock tower, which is known as Big Ben. The real name for the Houses of Parliament actually is the Palace of Westminster. And Big Ben, the clock tower that you see there, is not Big Ben. Big Ben is only the bell that chimes the hours. The real name for the clock tower is the Queen Elizabeth II tower. The bell, Big Ben, that chimes the hours weighs 13.5 tons. It's slightly cracked, as are many other people that work in the building. Now if you can take a close look at the stonework of the building when you get off at Westminster here, take a close look at the intricate carvings on the stones there, and you'll understand why it took 52 years to build. It was opened in 1848. Just below the first floor main windows, if you look carefully, just below the first floor main windows there's a line that runs around the building. And if you look carefully in that line, there is writing etched into the stonework. That writing is the Lord's Prayer in Latin, and it runs continually round the building. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is, as I say, that's Westminster, that's our destination now. I'd just like to thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your very kind attention.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this special presentation.
As I said,
Later,
I'm not
YouTube
a
followers.
professional guide, I'm one of the crew. We do have to hire, install and maintain the public address system ourselves to make the commentaries possible. Therefore, if anyone would like to show their appreciation for the efforts that we make to do these commentaries, you may do so when you leave the boat. I'll be standing by the gate with a silver champagne bucket. Now if you're wondering what happens to the money we collect in the bucket, it goes towards the maintenance I use to do the commentaries. But if there's any money left over, well, that goes towards the research in the Anchor Tavern later on this evening. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Hope the weather stays nice for you, and have a great time here in London. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Thank you.
Until next time, this is Bubba Josh saying kindness is free. Sprinkle it everywhere. Later, followers.